Sometimes it is said that man cannot be trusted with the government of himself. Can he, then, be trusted with the government of others? Or have we found angels in the form of kings to govern him? Let history answer this question. Nothing gives one person so much advantage over another as to remain always cool and unruffled under all circumstances. No occupation is so delightful to me as the culture of the earth, and no culture comparable to that of the garden. If a nation expects to be ignorant and free, in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be. I would rather be exposed to the inconveniences attending too much liberty than those attending too small a degree of it. Mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. Merchants have no country. The mere spot they stand on does not constitute so strong an attachment as that from which they draw their gains. To compel a man to furnish funds for the propagation of ideas he disbelieves and abhors is sinful and tyrannical. The constitutions of most of our states assert that all power is inherent in the people, that it is their right and duty to be at all times armed. He who knows nothing is closer to the truth than he whose mind is filled with falsehoods and errors. The Republican is the only form of government which is not eternally at open or secret war with the rights of mankind. For a people who are free, and who mean to remain so, a well-organized and armed militia is their best security. Dependence begets subservience, and venality suffocates the germ of virtue, and prepares fit tools for the designs of ambition. It is always better to have no ideas than false ones, to believe nothing, than to believe what is wrong. Every government degenerates when trusted to the rulers of the people alone. The people themselves are its only safe depositories. All, too, will bear in mind this sacred principle, that though the will of the majority is in all cases to prevail, that will to be rightful must be reasonable, that the minority possess their equal rights, which equal law must protect, and to violate would be oppression. It is more dangerous that even a guilty person should be punished without the forms of law than that he should escape. It behooves every man who values liberty of conscience for himself, to resist invasions of it in the case of others, or their case may, by change of circumstances, become his own. If there is one principle more deeply rooted in the mind of every American, it is that we should have nothing to do with conquest. Advertisements contain the only truths to be relied on in a newspaper. We may consider each generation as a distinct nation, with a right, by the will of its majority, to bind themselves, but none to bind the succeeding generation, more than the inhabitants of another country. Our country is now taking so steady a course as to show by what road it will pass to destruction, to wit, by consolidation of power first, and then corruption, its necessary consequence. It is our duty still to endeavor to avoid war, but if it shall actually take place, no matter by whom brought on, we must defend ourselves. If our house be on fire, without inquiring whether it was fired from within or without, we must try to extinguish it. Every citizen should be a soldier. This was the case with the Greeks and Romans, and must be that of every free state. Experience demands that man is the only animal which devours his own kind, for I can apply no milder term to the general prey of the rich on the poor,